From verse 1 to verse 7, my focus was on talking about how God is in the project of reactivating us into humanity. Look, my basic argument is this. You can't save someone who's not human. It's a basic argument I'm making. And I'm saying that for the most part, black people live not a human life, they live an animal life. So the activity of the gospel is not to save you from sin, it is to save you outside of being from humanity. It's to bring you back into humanity. That's the argument I've been making all along, right? That God wants you to be human. So when you are human, then you can be born again. So what the gospel has been doing to us black people, it has been traumatizing us, wanting us to be saved while we are still struggling with being human. So our struggle has not been spiritual, it has been biological. We've been miscategorized as animals. That's why most of our struggles are within the animal realm. So that's what I've been discussing all along, in simpler terms of this. Now I'm just giving a rough. Now I want to leave that stuff. Let's talk about something else, right? Chapter 5:14, Matthew. John. Can someone read for us? John 5:14. John 5:14. Now this is very interesting. So Jesus finds this man later on in the temple, right? Finds him later on in the temple, and Jesus then talks to the man. It's interesting that it's Jesus who finds the man, right? It's Jesus who finds the man. It's not the man who says, "Yo, Jesus, again we meet," right? In other words, this man was so overwhelmed by being made able to walk that he even forgot who made him to walk. Sometimes blessings of God can be very dangerous. Right, but I don't want to talk about that. Let's leave that. So Jesus finds this man. He finds him in the temple afterwards, right? And then Jesus engages this man in a conversation. Just says, look, man, you're okay. You've been made well. And then he instructs him, go and sin no more, right? So in John chapter 5, you find two types of instructions. Three, in fact, if you wish. So the first one is stand up. That's the first one. When Jesus heals this man, Jesus resists giving this man direct help to make him stand. For the first time, he stands for himself, right? Because it is God's will that as human beings, we need to be able to be self-reliant. It is not part of the gospel that God will be holding you by your hand and walking you. That's not God's plan. That's a devil's plan. To perpetually keep you in a status of being a child, like colonization and apartheid told you that as a black person, you are a child. That's why you need someone to instruct you everything you do. So people come with a leash and control you like you're a dog, but accept that you're in a human body, right? So Christ challenges that kind of philosophy. He tells this man that you are going to do the working for yourself. For the first time, he is asked to do something for himself, right? For the first time, he's asked to do something for himself, right? So that's the first instruction, this man. He's invited to walk for himself, right? So that's why I've got one of the biggest problems is that we've created a culture where people are told by other people what to do. Sometimes it is healthy to be stubborn, to refuse when other people tell you what to do. And say, I just want to think for myself. Will that hurt you? Right? While you are claiming your right to be human. It is to be human means you've got a brain and you've got a mouth. Stop listening to what other people say all the time. Start telling people your own ideas as well. There are people all their life, they're just a container to receive what other people think. You've got no experience of your own, right? So I'm not talking about that. So this man stands up. So the second instruction he gets, right? Second instruction he gets that he must go to the temple. The second instruction he gets. So this man goes to the temple, right? But why does Jesus send him to the... And note, it's very important, this man had never been to the temple all his life. Had never been to the temple all his life. So Jesus sends him to the temple. I don't know whether he was given directions, but the Bible says he was given directions. The most important thing that I find in that particular instruction is that we must find religion for ourselves. The experience with God is something personal. We must look for it. We must find it. There's nothing as problematic when your religion is something that is given to you by somebody else. It is the arrogance of some people who say that they gave Africans religion. Religion is not a kind of a thing that somebody gives you. It is something that you find for yourself. There's nothing as difficult as believing in God. How can someone help you to believe in God? It is arrogance for someone to tell that, no, I led this person to religion, right? Religion is something that you find for yourself. Why? God is a problem for human beings. When Adam fell into sin, when he encountered God, he ran away. He ran away. So he had to find a way to God, his own way to God, right? And God will make a way for you. So that's why Christ sends this man to the temple to find religion for himself, to find God for himself, to experience God for himself, to have his own experience with God, to have his own narrative with God, to have his own history with God. One of the biggest problems you find with Christians today, their history of God is the history of the Bible, and they are not in the Bible. In other words, you are living what other people have lived. You're not creating a new history with God. That's why you so rely on the Bible, because you can't produce a new experience with God. That's why every time we ask you to talk about your experience with God, you're going to quote for us 20 verses and tell us nothing about what God has done to you. Your God is historically captured. The Bible is important. I'm going to talk about the Bible one day. It's very important. Except that we use the Bible to write ourselves out of the possibility of creating new experiences with God. So the Bible becomes the enemy of religion. Because the God in the Bible, that's my challenge. Young people talk about what God did for Joseph. But when I look into their lives, I think, why is this God not doing what he did for Joseph in their lives? Where are the stories like the story of Joseph? Where are the stories of Daniel today? The stories of e-wallets, but where are the stories of Daniel? No, I don't want to get into that. It's a very sensitive issue. I don't want to get into that. Let's leave it. So this man is sent to the temple, right? He's sent to the temple to find God for himself, right? So why is he sent to the temple? For a reason, right? And the reason is to put in today's language, right? It's quality assurance. It's quality assurance, right? So this man at this stage, he appears healed. He appears healed. He can walk, right? He can walk for himself. But now, to verify that he has been healed, he has to go to the temple. And then the priest must do quality assurance and then declare him healed. That's why he's going to the temple. So this man is going to the temple for quality assurance, right? This is very important. This is very important. When God has done his job, he's not afraid for his job to be subjected to an objective assessment. God is so confident about the work he does. He is open to monitoring and evaluation. Now, this is the principle of the Bible. 6 days he creates everything. On the 6 days, he stands on the precipice of the last day, and the 7th day, he looks back at everything he has done and says it is good. He does evaluation of what he has done. There are people who live lives that are never evaluated. Live like a bee. Bees making noise like a fly even. Making noise. Life untested. Life unexamined is not worth living, philosophers say. Socrates is not worth living. Right? So quality assurance. Christ subjects his work. So this man goes there. The priest say, you're okay. Now note, this man has got two sorts of evidences that Christ works. The first evidence is that, look, I couldn't walk, now I walk. This evidence is personal, but it's not sufficient. He needs this evidence external validity, right? So he goes and gets a second witness, right? This says, no, man, you're okay, objectively. Two sorts of evidence, right? Here's the biggest problem we face today with Christians. Our faith has no objective witness that it works. Internally and externally. You can't from inside say, I'm satisfied with what God does. And no person observing from outside can spectate and say, the God of this person works. So internally and externally, there is no evidence that your religion works. You come to it hoping that it will work. For 38 years, this man lived this religion where he would stare on the water would move, they would throw him, he would come out, hoping. The many who have been in the church, religion has never worked for them. And I asked them, why do you still come if it's not working for you? I'm not saying people should go. I'm just asking, why are you here? You must ask yourself, why am I here if it's not working for me? The point I'm making is that we must stop being part of things that don't work for us. We must not. The people are going to die believing that their faith is going to work for them. And this is not the biblical concept. Faith without works is dead. So why don't you bury it? Why don't you bury it? Why don't you bury it, right? I'm not there. I'm just going somewhere. So this man has got objective evidence. Look, it will be an injustice on the part of God to ask you to believe in him if he has not given you evidence, personal evidence, crafted for you specifically that you believe in him. You've got no business believing in God if he has not given you evidence to believe in him. There are people who believe in the evidence of others. There are others who believe in the evidence of the evidence of the evidence of others. So you have to believe that the evidence that this one believes is evidence enough even for you. And this man who is your evidence has cases of falling at some point. So you've got fallen evidence. You've got fallen evidence. You've got limping evidence. So you say, no. I have no evidence. Our engagement with God at the first instance is not an engagement of faith, it's an engagement of evidence. Why must I believe that you are there? It is only the Bible that has the right to believe that he's there. Because the Bible writers know that he was there. But you don't know that. Now let me do a little bit of science here with you. So God creates everything in 6 days, right? But Adam didn't know that it was God who created everything in 6 days. He was not there when he created everything in 6 days. He sees everything that was created in 6 days. He doesn't know it was created by God. God had to give him evidence. The only one thing that was not there was the last piece of evidence to say everything that is there is evidence that I created it by creating Eve. So Eve was evidence that this one thing that was not there is evidence that everything that is there was created by me. That was Adam's evidence. Adam's evidence. What's your evidence? Nothing. It was this is the bone of my bone. In other words, every truth of creation made sense to him because this creation was a part of him. So creation didn't become a wonder. It was something that is a part of him. This was the evidence he had. What's your evidence? I want to push a little. Okay, let me leave that. I'm not there. So I'm passing. So this religion that runs away from evidence, there's something problematic about it. We must demand it. And we must demand it from God. Must demand it from God. Okay, I'm not there. Where am I going with this? So this man has got the evidence, right? Look, this man's evidence is powerful. It's him walking. How do you backslide? How do you go to a shebeen? How? How do you take the same legs there? Your evidence. Your evidence. Look, the Bible means nothing to this man. His own leg, feet, it's his Bible. You can read the whole Bible. He doesn't need it. He just needs to move his legs like this. There is a God out there. Pete 5,000 pages reading every day. No evidence of your own. It's like a fiction. It's like a book you read every day. This man was moving evidence. Okay, let's leave that, right? Let's leave that. In other words, you can ban the Bible. You can't take away his experience. You can't. How do you take away his experience? How do you take away his experience? How? You break his legs. This man has got memory that you can't remove. That I once walked. And I was disturbed by these ones. How do you take away that? You kill him. He dies with experience. The experience is so stubborn that no one can take it away from you. And it's personal. It's in the subject. It's the biggest problem we have today. Our religion is great in spectatorship, not in creating subjects of experience. Look, okay, let me finish this. So Christ then meets this guy in that condition. Evidence, man. And then Christ says to him, man, look, you are well. Christ is not saying, look, you are going to be well. Our God is always going to be. Going to be. So Christ engages this man on the history that is objective. Look, you have been made whole. The language used here is passive, it's not active. So you are the object. You have been made. He's the object. Mostamai kicks the ball. You are the ball. I kicked you. That's why you can move. Christ reify himself as the sovereign in his life. Your walking experience doesn't emanate from you. It has a source outside of you. And precisely because of this source, now I can speak with authority to you. I have power in your material life that gives you reason to have belief in me in the spiritual. Only here does Christ ask this man to believe. Simple point I'm making. You have got no business to believe if you've got no evidence.